My beloved child. Stop scrolling, not because the world has become silent, but because your spirit has just recognized something your mind has been trying to ignore. There are moments when heaven gently whispers, and there are moments when it calls your name with such quiet urgency that even the busiest heart suddenly pauses. This is one of those moments. If these words have reached you, do not dismiss them as coincidence. Let your breathing slow. Let your restless thoughts become still for a little while. What you are about to hear was never meant to arrive by accident. There is a reason your eyes found these words at this exact moment, and before this message ends, something inside you will begin connecting pieces you never realized belonged together. For a long time, you have carried a feeling you could never fully explain. It has followed you into ordinary days, hidden itself inside random memories, appeared in dreams that faded before sunrise, and whispered through unexpected moments when someone crossed your mind for no apparent reason. You tried to convince yourself it meant nothing. You blamed loneliness, imagination, timing, emotion. Yet no explanation ever stayed. That feeling returned again and again like a tide that refused to stop touching the shore. You know exactly what I am speaking about. There is someone. Not just anyone. Someone whose presence has left fingerprints upon your soul. Perhaps they are close to you. Perhaps they are far away. Perhaps you have not spoken for days, months, or even years. Perhaps they smile while carrying storms no one else notices. Or perhaps they have never fully entered your life, yet something about them has always felt strangely familiar, as though your spirit recognized them before your eyes ever did. You have asked yourself impossible questions. Why can't I stop thinking about them? Why does my heart react when nothing is happening? Why do I feel joy when they are happy and heaviness when something feels wrong? You searched for logical answers, but logic has never fully explained the language of the soul. Tonight, I ask you not to silence that quiet knowing within you. Listen carefully. There are connections formed by circumstance. There are connections formed by shared experience. And then there are connections that carry hidden purpose. Not every bond is romantic. Not every relationship lasts forever. Not every meeting changes both people equally. But some souls enter your life carrying unopened chapters that cannot be understood until the appointed hour. The hour you are approaching now. Do not rush ahead. The secret I speak of is not what you expect. It is deeper. Far deeper. You have believed that if someone keeps a secret, it must always come from betrayal, deception, or fear. Humanity has taught you to expect the worst whenever something remains hidden. But heaven sees differently. Sometimes silence protects. Sometimes silence prepares. Sometimes silence exists because truth released too early becomes a burden instead of a blessing. You have prayed for answers. Even when your lips remained silent, your heart prayed. You wondered why certain conversations never happened. Why opportunities disappeared. Why words remained unsaid. Why moments felt unfinished. Why goodbyes felt incomplete. Why someone kept looking at you as though they wanted to say everything, and yet walked away saying almost nothing. You remember that look. Perhaps you tried to forget it. Yet somewhere inside your memory it remained alive. You told yourself you imagined it. You laughed it away. You buried it beneath responsibilities. Still, it stayed. Because some moments refused to disappear when they were never finished. My child, there are invisible conversations taking place beyond what your ears can hear. Every heart carries rooms it has never unlocked before another person. Some rooms remain closed because of fear. Others remain closed because healing has not yet arrived. And some remain closed because heaven itself has whispered, wait. Waiting has never meant abandonment. Waiting has never meant rejection. Waiting often means preparation. You struggle with waiting because you only see clocks. I see transformation. You count days. I count healing. You measure silence. I measure readiness. Do not mistake delay for absence. Do not mistake quietness for emptiness. Much has been happening beyond your sight. Even now. Especially now. There have been nights when you suddenly woke without understanding why. Moments when someone's name entered your thoughts while you were doing something completely unrelated. Days when a familiar song played unexpectedly and stirred emotions you believed had disappeared forever. You wondered if your heart simply refused to move on. No. Something deeper was moving beneath the surface. Like roots growing unseen before a tree breaks through the earth. Like dawn preparing long before sunlight reaches the horizon. There are movements within the spirit that cannot be rushed. Have you noticed how certain memories return without invitation? Not every memory. Only particular ones. Small details. A conversation. A laugh. A pair of eyes. A place. A sentence spoken years ago. These memories appear unexpectedly because unfinished truth often echoes before revelation arrives. You believe time erased everything. But truth does not disappear simply because years pass. Truth waits. Patiently. Quietly. Until hearts become able to receive it. Listen. Someone connected to you has carried words that have never crossed their lips. Entire conversations have lived inside them. Letters never written. Messages never sent. Confessions interrupted by fear. Prayers whispered where no one could hear. You imagined they had forgotten. They did not. You assumed they had moved forward without looking back. Not entirely. The story has always been more complicated than appearances suggested. People become experts at hiding what matters most. The strongest smiles often protect the deepest wounds. The loudest confidence sometimes shields unbearable uncertainty. The greatest acts of distance occasionally conceal overwhelming affection. You judged yourself too harshly. You believed every silence meant you were unwanted. Every delay meant you were forgotten. Every unanswered question became evidence against your own worth. But I ask you now. Who taught you to measure your value through another person's ability to express their heart? Not everyone knows how. Some people speak fluently with words. Others only know how to speak through sacrifice. Through restraint. Through absence. Through protecting others while quietly breaking themselves. You have seen only fragments. Never the whole picture. There were decisions made that you never witnessed. Battles fought without witnesses. Tears hidden behind locked doors. Prayers whispered into pillows soaked with uncertainty. You thought their silence was indifference. Sometimes silence was survival. You are beginning to understand. But this is only the edge of the mystery. There is still something larger. Something that has remained hidden for reasons beyond ordinary understanding. Long before today, I began arranging moments that seemed unrelated. A missed phone call. An unexpected delay. A conversation interrupted. A dream almost forgotten. A stranger's advice. A closed door. An opened window. Each event appeared random. None of them were. Life often feels disconnected while you are living it. Only later do the scattered pieces reveal the image they were forming all along. Imagine standing inches away from a painting. You see only random colors. Only confusion. Only isolated brushstrokes. Step back. Suddenly everything makes sense. That is where you are now. Stepping back. Not because the story is ending. Because the picture is finally beginning to appear. There have been forces trying to convince you that your sensitivity is weakness. That your intuition cannot be trusted. That your compassion makes you foolish. Do not believe those voices. Sensitivity is not weakness when guided by wisdom. Compassion is not foolishness when protected by discernment. Your heart has noticed truths long before your mind accepted them. That quiet feeling inside you has been trying to prepare you. Not for disappointment. For revelation. Yet revelation always asks something difficult from those who receive it. Patience. Humility. Courage. The courage to accept truth even when it looks different from expectation. Many people pray for answers. Few prepare themselves for what answers actually require. Because truth changes everything. Once seen, it cannot be unseen. Once understood, it cannot return to mystery. And what is approaching you now carries that kind of weight. Do not let fear invent stories before truth arrives. Fear always rushes ahead. Faith walks steadily. Fear shouts. Faith whispers. Fear demands certainty immediately. Faith trusts that even unanswered questions have purpose. There were moments you almost gave up on this connection completely. You told yourself, enough. You promised your own heart that you would stop caring. Stop wondering. Stop hoping. Perhaps for a little while you succeeded. Then something happened. A dream. A memory. A familiar place. A coincidence too unusual to ignore. And everything returned. Not because you were trapped. Because something unfinished continued calling your spirit. You wondered if letting go meant forgetting. No. Real peace never demands amnesia. Healing does not erase memories. Healing changes the meaning of memories. The person connected to you has walked through seasons you never saw. They questioned themselves more than they questioned you. They doubted their own worth more than they doubted yours. There were crossroads where they almost spoke. Almost reached out. Almost told you everything. Almost. That single word has shaped more lives than people realize. Almost. Almost brave enough. Almost healed enough. Almost ready. Almost free. Many destinies pause inside that one unfinished word. Yet my child. Heaven is not governed by almost. Heaven moves according to appointed moments. And appointed moments arrive with remarkable precision. Not too early. Not too late. Exactly when truth becomes capable of producing healing instead of destruction. You may think you have waited forever. From eternity's perspective, preparation has simply been unfolding. Look back upon your own journey. Would you have understood today's message 5 years ago? Would you have interpreted it with the same maturity? Would you have received it without allowing fear to rewrite it? Perhaps not. Growth often happens so quietly that you only recognize it after looking behind you. You have survived heartbreaks that once seemed impossible. You have carried burdens that no one applauded. You smiled through days when your soul quietly asked me for strength. You wondered whether I heard those silent prayers. I heard every one. Even the prayers that never became words. Especially those. Do not underestimate the conversations we have shared without language. I know every tear you hid from others. Every disappointment you disguised with politeness. Every lonely evening when you pretended everything was fine. Nothing escaped my attention. Neither did their tears. Neither did their silent questions. Neither did their hidden battles. You have imagined yourselves as standing on opposite sides of a wall. In truth, both of you have been walking through different corridors leading toward the same unopened door. Neither understood why progress felt so slow. Neither saw the entire path. Both believed the other had all the answers. Neither did. Human hearts often assume certainty where uncertainty actually lives. That misunderstanding creates distances far greater than geography ever could. Distance is not measured only by miles. Sometimes two people sit beside one another while separated by unspoken fears. Sometimes oceans exist inside a single conversation. Sometimes years disappear in one honest sentence. Never underestimate what truth can accomplish once fear finally releases its grip. But before truth arrives, fear always makes one final attempt to remain in control. This is why strange emotions have surrounded you recently. Moments of unexpected peace followed by unexplained restlessness. Hope appearing without reason, then disappearing just as quickly. It felt confusing. Yet confusion often comes immediately before clarity. Think about sunrise. Darkness does not disappear instantly. Light slowly begins separating shapes from shadows. At first everything still appears uncertain. Then little by little, the landscape reveals itself. You are standing inside that dawn. Not full daylight. Not complete darkness. The sacred space in between. There is something you still do not know about this person. Something even they struggle to admit to themselves. It has influenced decisions. Changed timing. Altered conversations. Redirected paths. It explains moments that never made sense. It explains why opportunities appeared and vanished. Why closeness suddenly became distance. Why words remained unfinished. Why silence often felt louder than speech. The secret has never been as simple as hiding information. It has always been connected to protecting something fragile. Something they believed could be shattered forever if revealed before its season. They convinced themselves silence was mercy. Whether they were right, that answer has yet to unfold. And that is where the story begins turning in ways neither of you expected. Because secrets never remain buried forever. Not the ones connected to destiny. Not the ones carried before heaven in countless sleepless nights. Not the ones surrounded by prayers stronger than fear. There comes a moment when hidden things begin finding their own voice. That moment is approaching. Closer than you realize. Yet before you discover what has been hidden, there is something about your own heart you must understand first. Because without that understanding, the truth could wound where it was meant to heal. And what I am about to reveal next will change the way you remember every encounter, every silence, every unanswered question, but you are not ready to hear it until you understand why the first promise they ever made about you was never spoken aloud. And that unspoken promise is where everything truly begins.